So that was one of Caitlin Clark's worst games. And the fact that that is now one of Caitlin Clark's worst games is scary. Like, that should scare any of the Caitlin Clark doubters. It should be scary for them. With this being one of Caitlin Clark's worst games, how she ended that game was wild. Before we get on to, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are only, oh, Jesus, we've hit 22K. If we could hit 22,039, that would be great. If we can hit even one more subscriber, that'd be unbelievable. But we've got to just call a spade a spade. She is the best point guard in the WNBA. Like, you can say that maybe a combo guard is better. I don't think there's much of an argument for Arike being better. You could argue that Sabrina Ionescu is better. And I would not be that, like, I would not be that crazy if you said that Sabrina Ionescu is better. I don't think that's a crazy statement to make. I think it's a perfectly fine statement to make. But Caitlin Clark is in that conversation. Like, as better guards go, Jewel Lloyd is not better than Caitlin Clark. You have got, what's her name's better than Caitlin? Maybe Jackie Young. Maybe Jackie Young. And Kat Copper, I'm not considering a guard. Kat Copper is maybe, you know what? If you consider Kat Copper a guard, probably as a scorer. But this is Caitlin Clark's worst game in so long. And so much that's so that you're seeing Reddit being like, these are our stats, despite the win, it was a bad game. This is the fourth quarter, by the way. They are down 7 points in the first possession of the fourth quarter. The most important possession for the Fever. She comes off. This is the worst ran play in history if you're watching this game. The amount of, like, they're just, Lexi Hull and Caitlin Clark ran into each other. This is barely a screen. Comes off the screen from Aaliyah Boston, curls, 2 running at her, down 7. Bang. Bang. This is a 4-point game. This is the 4-point game. Suddenly, it is 65-all. This team, the Fever, have not had a lead in a long time. They were down 7. They were down 6, was it 50, 63? 50, 63. Great shot here by Kelsey Mitchell as well. Caitlin Clark on Kayla McBride, is it? Is that Kayla McBride or Carlton? Is it? Either way. Breaks an ankle. Easy layup. Easy layup. Because you have to guard her and put her in so much pressure. Easy layup. Then, at 68-71, in a huge possession. Sorry, it was Zandalasini, who I think it might have been her who got her ankles broken. But she goes and hits a big 3 to tie it up. What happens the next score? A few possessions later, neither of these teams are scoring. Katie Lou gets it. Comes off a flare screen. Gets the ball. You see, it's just the decision making. You're seeing that. Everyone's expecting the shot. Nah. I'm going to fake. Draw them in. And am I going to go to the basket? I'm going to the basket. Every single person thinks I'm going to the basket. I'm looking at the basket. I'm dumping it off to Aaliyah Boston, who is now waiting for the ball. Layup. Good. Aaliyah Boston, player of the game, by the way. Aaliyah Boston, player of the game. I will say, this was terrible defense. She gave up. If there was no help side defense, Kelsey Mitchell, that was a layup. To be fair, though, at the same time, it's not the worst defense because it's... I forgot. I just didn't even realize. She's playing the 3. She is playing the step back. She's given the layup because you are up. It's going to be a shot clock. They have to foul. You're up 3. I'm like, it's not the best defense, but you know what? It could have been worse. She could have given up the 3-pointer. She at least played smart defense. Her feet aren't fast, but she played smart defense. Like, this is a player that is... If this is what she's doing in a bad game, everyone should be scared. Everyone should be scared. If playing bad through 3 quarters and taking over and willing your team to victory, and by the way, she did not do it by herself. Kelsey Mitchell and Leah Boston. Like, there are videos. I'm making videos on both of them. You will see in the 1 hour after this, there's going to be an Leah Boston video. And in 1 hour after... Actually, no. Probably will already have put those videos up because they're important videos to get out there. But that big 3 is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. It is, while playing the right style, unguardable. All from her. And this is the worst she's ever going to be. Look, do I think she's going to be the greatest of all time? Maybe. I think she's going to be the greatest guard of all time. I think there's a woman out in out in Las Vegas right now, who I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Caitlin Clark to be as good as peak for peak. Because I'm not disrespecting A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson is so good. Like, even today, what she have? Like, 28 and like 16? No, like, I'm not going to be crazy enough and say that she's going to be better than A'ja Wilson. I think A'ja Wilson is peak for peak the greatest of all time. The greatest of all time, peak for peak. And if she wins her third championship in 3 years, with her third MVP and another DPOY, that's it. Unanimous MVP as well. That's it. That is it. A'ja is the GOAT. Doesn't matter how young she is. Doesn't matter if she's only played 7 seasons. This is like Jordan in 91. She is the GOAT. And she is going to be chasing the shadow that is A'ja Wilson. And I don't think she's going to she's going to beat that shadow. But what I do think is that when her career is done, the name Sue Bird may not be, it'll be remembered. But it'll be remembered in the way that a John Stockton was remembered. It'll be remembered in that way. It'll be remembered as in like, oh, she was this elite passer. She was the first like really like absolutely unbelievable like point guard in this league. Was the best point guard for one of the best point guards for the guts of 20 years. Sue Bird will be remembered. She'll be greater. She'll be greater. She will revolutionize this game. And the fact I'm just watching this and I watch back on the fourth quarter of this game. I watch back on the third quarter. And Caitlin Clark's biggest flaw right now is her coach. It is her coach. It is her coach not understanding what her strengths and her weaknesses are. And I will say this again, it's Kelsey Mitchell's biggest flaw. It's Lexi Hull's biggest flaw. It's Katie Lou Samuelson's biggest flaw. Is not understanding what their team needs and what their team has and how they can play effectively. She's just obviously got in her head how the team she wants them to play, and it's just not going to work. Her biggest flaw is her coach, which is, I know it's kind of a crazy thing to say, but her biggest flaw is not her game. It's not in her game. It is her coach. So, in a year's time, hopefully, if Christy Sides is fired, and look, you do not lose Kelsey Mitchell in free agency this year. There is not a shooting guard that is better than Kelsey Mitchell. Find another wing. If you lose Katie Lou in the expansion draft, it is what it is. You got a max contract. You have got a max contract with Wheeler's money. Find something. Go and give every cent to Satu Sabali. Give everything to Satu. Satu, I'd say, would be so happy to come onto this team. Do everything you can to get Satu. You can trade Nalissa Smith then. You know what? And with the way the contracts are, trade Nalissa Smith for a late first round pick. Whoever has a late first round pick, Nalissa Smith's great. She just doesn't fit. Maybe you can get a first round pick and a pick swap for Nalissa Smith, especially if it's late. Then in that late first round, you go and get your defensive point guard, your lockdown defender, who and pray that she can develop a jump shot. Take your Raven Johnson. Maybe if you just want kind of a backup point guard who can also play off the ball and shoot, maybe you go and take Pow Pow with a late first round pick. If Sonia Citron is probably going to be on the board for them. And there's the French female Wemby, I can't remember her name, that could be on the board at 6. So like there are a lot of options in this draft that might fit better than Alyssa Smith. And then you've got Satu at the 4, Aaliyah at the 5, just somebody at the 3. Just find somebody with Katie Lou's money to put in at the 3. Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark. With a coach that isn't Christy Sides. This team's competing for a championship next year. They're that close. And Caitlin Clark, the fact is the worst she's going to be is absolutely wild.